Hey, well, hello everyone. I hope you can hear me. I'm not going to be able to speak so loud because my flatmates are asleep here next to me. But I'll speak forward so you can hear me speak in the camera. As you will know, I made a video a few hours ago asking about Kamala Harris and asking about Trump and how they're feeling, less than 2 weeks out from the election. So if you've not been able to watch that video, please check that one out. I have your questions here, and we're going to just dive straight in to the show. And as you can imagine, it's quite complex. There's an awful lot kind of going on. One thing I've not read on for a while is let's read on the Israel-Palestine conflict. And someone here, let me just check. I think it was Manuela. Yes. All right, so I'm going to read some cards on this. And she says, "Hi, Hoagie. I hope you come home safe and have lovely memories." Yes, I do. My question for today would be, will there be a peace talk between Iran/Israel at some point with this Mars-Pluto opposition? Second question would be if Netanyahu will still be leader in 2025. Thank you so much, love, Manuela. All right, I'll have a look. Let's have a look. I'm going to put my phone. Just gently rest it there. Let's see. See if there will be a peace deal. Israel and Iran. Israel and Iran. Let's have a look. Don't have enough space. Israel and Iran. And do you guys like my kimono? Well, it's not a kimono, but it's got a beautiful two lions on the back of it. I would stand up, but I might knock over my table light. Maybe a deal. Let's have a look. This is interesting. If we look here, look, we have the Emperor. So what is this talking about? The Emperor card. This is involving strong men and their attitudes, and neither side really is wanting to yield. As you can imagine, here is the Emperor card, which talks about patriarchy, which talks about it very much talks about male power. If we look here, you see you've got the ram's head here, and he's dressed in red, so he's the army general. So this, of course, is talking about the situation as a whole, this tension, this conflict between the two proud nations, neither one wanting to yield, neither one wanting to kind of cede any kind of sovereignty, any kind of power. They want to keep that power for themselves. So already this is a bit of an impasse. But as you can see here, the general is the warlord, yeah. But notice, look, his beard, yeah, he has a long white beard. So this is talking about the established patriarchy in both countries, in Israel and Iran, and is really kind of talking about the older men in general that are really not wanting to budge, yeah. So already that's a bit tricky. If we look here, the next card that we get is the High Priestess. And now, when you're reading this card for individuals, for normal people, for example, make sure you can see me. Make sure I'm lit. There we are. When you're reading this card for ordinary people, this can talk about a person spiritually going within, exploring religiosity or reading spiritual books. However, this is turned up in the obstacle position, so this can be a card of subterfuge. It can deal with deception. It can also deal with hidden aggression and agendas. But also as well, let's not forget as well, this is a card which in many ways is the companion card to the Hierophant. So this is also talking about spirituality, but also talking about religion. So when you get these two together, this is talking about religious ideology. So there are hardliners that are not wanting to budge. Yeah. So already we're seeing a little bit of an impasse here. However, in the middle, we do have the Queen of Wands. Now, this card is about negotiation. It is about bringing people together. It is about having a collegiate attitude and a can-do attitude. Here as well, you see the black cat is down here, which is talking about intuition. So I think there probably is actually maybe some low level, or at least willingness to come to some kind of agreement. No country, they don't want to mutually destroy each other, as you can imagine. They've been having these proxy wars for a long time now, which has destabilized the whole region. But here, this says to me there is a willingness, which may not be obvious, to negotiate. If you look here, though, we do then have the Hermit card here. So in this 5-card spread, we've already got 3 major arcana. So this is showing that this is a very significant and pertinent situation that we're in. The Hermit card is about deep reflection, going within, reassessing one's plans. So what this suggests is that both Israel and Iran are actually reassessing their plans. It just may not be very obvious, because imagine if this kicks off, then I mean the whole world is going to be at a loss, on top of US elections that are only a matter of weeks away. This may also be a factor as well. I think both sides are actually looking to see who is going to win the US election, because that's going to decide a lot of their strategies going forward. This is also a card of reassessing your plans and strategies. However, the outcome card here is the 5 of Swords, which can, of course, as we know, you've heard many of us readers say, this can be about an abuse of power. Yeah. So I think what is, either side is still angling to get whatever it is they want from the negotiations, and it seems neither side is going to really kind of play fair. But given the scenario, both sides really do have to reflect. But I think they're probably waiting to see who wins the US election. That is probably going to decide quite a few things. Of course, if Kamala wins, then that is probably less in Iran's favor. If Trump wins, I think it's more of a wild card, because he, of course, is very unpredictable. But either way, I think the US elections are a big factor in this. All right, so let me just make sure I answer the question. 1 minute. Peace talks between some point with it. At some point, what is it again? Will there be a peace talk between Iran with this Mars-Pluto opposition? So here you see Mars has actually shown up literally in the reading. Let's see if Netanyahu will still be leader in 2025. Just click on this comment here. shuffling on Netanyahu. So Vanessa says, hi there to you all. Have a wonderful, blessed day and night. Love always. Vanessa Armastana. And on the 10th, or maybe that's the 3rd of October 2024, I lost my, because this might be written the American way, I lost my husband and I always love him, and may he rest in peace, I think. Amen. Sending all of my love. Ah, that's a great message, Vanessa. Hope he rests in peace as well. Just see here. All right. Netanyahu, 2025. Will he still be in power? Again, depends on the elections, doesn't it? But the thing is, Netanyahu he's an extraordinary political survivor. He really, really is. And as long as he breathes, he is a difficult man to remove. Let's just put it that way. Netanyahu, 2025. Netanyahu. Just so you know, it's 7 in the morning here in Japan, guys. But thank you so much for joining me. Let's have a look. Netanyahu, 2025. Interesting. All right. All right. We've got 2 kings that have come out. I want to make sure that I rest my elbow a bit without knocking over my light. So here we are. This is representing Netanyahu here. We've got the King of Wands. Now, as we know, the Wands suite is very much about passion. Yeah? Very much about passion, action, wanting to get things done. It's a very entrepreneurial card. This often comes up as well when we're talking about Trump. Yeah. So this really talks about Netanyahu's attitude, and he has quite an aggressive attitude and is far inclined to take action, things into his own hands in order to get what he wants. But this is also a very strategic card as well, particularly when it comes to the higher suite cards. You know, the kings and the queens, they're very often involved in strategy because they're the main decision makers, as you can imagine. So this is Netanyahu here, representing him perfectly. But look at the obstacle position. The obstacle card, here we have another king. So straight away, obviously, the fact that we've got 2 kings back to back, and we're talking about Netanyahu, who really does see himself as the ultimate leader, really, of Israel. He believes that he is the one and he alone that can do the job. But this card here, when it's in the right way up, it talks about a man who's managed to secure his legacy. Yeah, managed to secure his legacy, wealth, prosperity. And of course, he's definitely wealthy. He's definitely rich. We know that. But when it's in the obstacle position, it's a bit more like this. And this can talk about the leader who essentially is corrupt. Yeah. And who is basically holding on or staying around in order just to perpetuate his wealth. Yeah, this can also talk about greed as well. This card can be very greedy when it's in its shadow form, and manipulative. So in a sense, he is one of the main reasons why he's still here is because he wants to be and he doesn't want to move aside. Yeah, so there is that element. But look here, in the middle, we have the death card. Now, the death card doesn't always mean a literal death, but it always means transformation. And it's a transformation that comes that is beyond one's control. Yeah. So here, what we see here, we have the queen is grieving because the king has been trampled underfoot. Yeah. In this card, you see he's trampled underfoot. And here, you have a Pope-like character, or the Pope appealing. So what this means is that, as we all understand, oh, I've gone out of focus. Go back in focus now. Hope so. What it means is death comes for everyone. So what this is about a transformation that cannot be avoided. And what this says to me is, I think it depends very much on the politics of the United States, how long Netanyahu stays around. There is a situation in 2025 which could create a transformation that is beyond his control. Yeah. So there could be an element here where, yeah, something may come to an end for him. If we look here, the next card we have is the Six of Pentacles. Yeah. Which again is talking about, oh, let me just move my mouse. My mouse was just playing up a bit there. 1 minute. Just move it over here. Can't do anything wrong over there. So here, this is about, if we look here, this is about what? Money changing hands. Isn't it interesting that we have the King of Pentacles and now we've got the Six of Pentacles here. When we're talking about kind of ordinary people, this could talk about being generous, being beneficent, you know, to others. But this can also be the card of corruption, literally money exchanging, changing hands. As we know, Netanyahu has his own fair set of legal woes and worries and stuff like that. And in fact, before this conflict began, many of you will remember there were many protests in Israel asking him to leave. Yeah. So I think this is really talking about these, you know, briberies, money that he's accepted, but money he's also paid to others for his own political gain. If we look here, though, the outcome card is Temperance, yeah, which is actually quite a positive card. This is a card about balancing things out, you know, taking two different elements and mixing them together. The person's here has got his foot on the earth and the other one in the water. So what this is to me is that in 2025, although there'll be some big, potentially something transformational happening, which the obvious thing would be who wins the US election, ultimately, because Netanyahu is such a savvy politician, I think he will find a way to basically maintain the status quo of his leadership. He is prepared to do anything, absolutely anything, to stay as leader. So I'm going to say I don't think we're going to see the back of him in 2025. There could be something that really rocks the boat, but ultimately, do you see, he gets the Temperance card, so he'll probably find a way to stay in. So yeah, I just have to read the cards that I get, as you guys know. All right, let's see who's in the chat. So let's click on here. So Raymond de Pasquale is saying, oh, talking to someone else. Oh, there we are. So I clicked on the wrong thing above there. So Raymond is saying, hit the like for Hogarth, much appreciated. Please don't forget, of course, to like and subscribe. Sorry if I'm not speaking as loudly as I normally would, but there are two people asleep. But I think you can hear me okay. All right. Let's get to the next question on my phone. Let's go back. Okay. Thank you for your questions, Manuela. Yeah. First, let me just do this. I think we'll do one on North Korea, and then we'll look at Judge Cannon, General Kelly. Oh, there were some issues in Turkey as well. Let's look at North Korea. So this is coming from Nick Minks. So she says, North Korea are floating trash balloons into South Korea again, with one landing in the president's commune, as they are now sending troops as well as arms, which I think she means to the war in Ukraine. South Korea have said they will supply aid to Ukraine. Do the cards show if these two will actually go into war with each other? Now, many of you will know the North and South Korea. People waking up outside. The North and South Korea conflict has been going on for decades. North Korea is an isolated dictatorship, and South Korea has joined the modern world. Sorry if you can hear speaking outside some of the... Someone's having a loud conversation outside the door. So, and I'm in an area which is on the South Island of Japan called Kagoshima. And we went to the Peace Museum yesterday, which was about the Second World War, and Toko flighters. So we call them kamikaze, but the name for those guys that flew the planes or their boats into into the Western Allies ships, we call them kamikaze, which isn't the right name. They were called Toko. And we read their letters and we saw their photographs and the things that they wrote to their mothers and fathers and stuff. It was actually very moving. We were all kind of tearing up a bit, actually. Oh, Chris and I, because it was very emotional reading people's letters that they send, you know, in war and in conflict. And it just lets you know that nobody wins, yeah, really. I mean, there's a winner, but war, the price of war is so extraordinarily high, yet people are still cavalier about it. It's often only after a conflict that people reflect. Oh, North Korea's cards. Oh. Wow. I've pulled 5 cards, and 4 of them are major arcana, guys, for North Korea. The question is, do the cards show whether or not they'll go to war with each other? If we look here, look at the situation in North Korea. We get the Devil card, which in many ways sums it up, doesn't it, folks? As we know, Dr. Orange Trump has been writing his love letters to Kim Jong-un. But this really is the regime. Look at this. This is the regime. We get the Devil here. So this is talking about deep corruption, but it's more than just corruption with the Devil. It can talk about a deep, deep illness, psychosis, paranoia, and deep attachments and codependency. So in many ways, this is talking about the leadership, the deep, flawed nature of the leadership, because after all, Kim Jong-un is a dictator. But if you see here, the 2 people, you see how they're chained. They're chained to the Devil, but their chains are loose. Now, we can't really say the chains are loose for the majority of people that live in North Korea. However, it does show the attachment to the leader, the codependency. Everyone has to have a picture of the leader, you know, in their house, where allegiance, the indoctrination is just absolutely epic. And the leader basically has to be worshipped. Now, this is one of the reasons why a sociopathic narcissist like Dr. Orange, yeah, admires North Korea, because he's like, well, that's what I want, yeah, that's what he wants. So remember, this is the person that Trump is admiring, and the Devil often comes up when we're talking about Trump, but this is very true as well for Kim Jong-un. So this is showing the situation in North Korea quite dire, but also showing the deep corruption as well of the nation. If we look here, we get the Star card. Now, the Star card is normally a very nice card, but you never really want this card in the opposition position, which is turned up here. Now, which means you know, there's a shadow interpretation. Now, as you guys know, when I'm reading on politics, this card, the shadow of this card for me represents the narcissist. Again, it very often comes up with when I'm reading on Trump. And now we're talking about one of his favorites, yeah, Kim Jong-un, and it's come up next to the devil card. So we're talking, this is someone who is deeply, deeply narcissistic. And the leadership is definitely deeply narcissistic and self-interested. Apparently, there are real difficulties going on in North Korea and for ordinary people in terms of food and supply. But, you know, they're always having some kind of desperate crisis. But a lot of this is because of narcissistic leadership. If we look here, the next card that comes out is the Hierophant. So again, this is about the shadow of this card can be dogma, yeah, strict dogma. This is also showing how Kim Jong-un essentially wants to be worshipped as the leader, yeah, worshipped literally, yeah. Here's the pontiff here. You can see here the two pious, this is him and the regime, and these are the people down here who have to be pious, who have to give their allegiance, yeah, to the supreme authority. So this is almost basically Kim Jong-un seeing himself as the pontiff of the nation. I mean, this is, we're getting real huge levels of narcissistic, I would say delusions of grandeur, but they are delusions, but they're also real because the whole nation has to behave in that way. If we look here, we've got the High Priestess. So again, when we're talking about politics, this can talk about the shady negotiations, the hidden machinations that are going on. But here we have the male and female counterpart here. And I think these are the allegiances, the alliances. Obviously, Russia is an obvious one as well because they are strongly aligned, but also Iran. This is also showing as well that North Korea has probably quite a bit more support than we may have actually thought. Actually, they're not quite as isolated as you would think, but because the leadership is so completely, utterly bankrupt and corrupt, yeah, the people of North Korea aren't really getting any help at all. However, if we look here, though, we've got the Three of Wands, and you can see this is the merchant looking out to the waters to wait to see if his ship will come in. Yeah, he's waiting to see if his ship will come in. This also shows as well how, maybe via the conflict with Ukraine, that some elements of the leadership are prepared to look out at the rest of the world and entertain their options. Obviously, they've been, well, I say obviously, they've been sending troops to Ukraine. So this means even though a lot of those people will probably die, unfortunately, they are probably getting to see at least another part of the world, likely for the first time. So I think North Korea is actually wanting to evolve its role on the international stage. Does this mean it will be in an out-and-out conflict with South Korea? I'm not sure. I think they're always going to antagonize, because what we've got to understand is that the leader here fundamentally is kind of psychotic. Yeah, you know, he's not well. People that are psychotic do random crazy stuff. The fact that they've been dropping rubbish, do you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, come on, really? But there is a deeper thing going on where there is an awareness that North Korea understands it's going to have to interact with the world a bit more. So it can't be quite as antagonizing as it would like to be. And again, the elections are going to decide a lot of things. So I'm going to say no, not out and out war with South Korea. I think that will still be too dangerous, but they will antagonize because the leadership is basically psychologically corrupt. Yeah, completely broken down. Right, let's look at America. So someone's asking here, all new Maggie who? What will happen to Judge Cannon once Madam President Harris takes over? Any repercussions for her totally biased rulings while on the bench, so unprofessional? Or will the Heritage Foundation come through with a very cushy position for her total loyalty? Well, I think we know that the Heritage Foundation is going to move heaven and earth for her. Oh, gosh, I can't move too much here. Too many cards fell out. But we can see there's three there. King of Pentacles, Death, Six of Pentacles, but just a bit too many fell out. What's going to happen with Eileen Cannon? Loose Cannon. What's going on here? Try and bring this a little bit closer. Eileen Cannon. What will be her fate? What will be her fate? You never believe the card that's come back. This is really interesting. All right. So if we look here, look who's back. The Hierophant. I think this has this come out in every reading? I've only done 3. So what does the Hierophant represent? Of course, the Hierophant represents established norms, yeah, patriarchy, authority, etc., and stuff like that. But this can also talk about things like the judiciary as well. Remember, this card often comes out when I'm talking about SCOTUS, etc., and stuff like that. So my instinct is that they would want her to become part of SCOTUS. Yeah, if we're talking about the Heritage Foundation as well, this is what they want. Be another one of their own, yeah, right up there in the top. But this is also talking about the religious connotation. And let's not forget, this is a Pope on this card. And many of us, as you know, have been talking about Opus Dei. So what this also says to me is that those in Opus Dei very much want Canon to be in a more influential position than she already is in. So they are looking to reward her with an ultimate position, most likely somewhere on the Supreme Court or somewhere very senior in the upper legal echelons of the United States, making, of course, decisions in Trump's favor. Yeah. If we look at the next card, what is this all about? Now, normally the obstacle card will show up as an obstacle if the first one is negative. The Hierophant in general is seen as quite as a positive card, but look what turns up next. Again and again and again, it's about the money. It is about the money. Now that we have these two together, we have the church and we have money coming together. So what someone reminded me in the comments, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I think when I was maybe in Yokohama, is that currently these religious groups are not taxed, as far as I'm aware. Let me know if that status has changed. And the amount of times I've seen these two come together, she's being paid off, she's taking backhanders, she's batting for the church or this more kind of radical Christian right that wants to come in. Look, this is what they want. Opus Dei, Heritage Foundation, all that stuff. They want what I refer to as a neo-fascist Christian caliphate. That's what they want. Yeah. And a lot of that is to basically Cash, power, wealth, the usual stuff that so many of these people want. Just in case we weren't sure, look who comes back again. The High Priestess. And one of the things what I would say, particularly for those learning tarot, if cards repeat in several readings, it will talk about an overall theme. And look, we see her back again. So in this instance, it's almost like the Heritage Foundation see Canon as one of their high priestesses that is going to do their bidding, make the judgments, make the judgments that they want, so they get the money, And this is her here with her agendas as well, her subterfuge, her agendas, which really are not that well hidden, are they? Because it's quite clear who she's in favor of. It's also about the messaging here as well, the messaging, the language, and I think this is also the supportive language as well for Trump, Duck L'Orange, and the whole agenda as a whole. So it's not only that they want to have her as a judge, they're also wanting to have her as a spokesperson to advocate. But this is also a card of seduction, of wooing. But if we look here, though, this is interesting. She gets the Six of Swords. No, yeah, the Six of Swords, which is about moving on, moving to smoother waters. So there might be something that could happen. That means she would have to move on. Now, of course, if Kamala wins, I think she is toast. Yeah, because Kamala is a prosecutor, is a real legalese, a real legal person. And someone like an Eileen Cannon is not going to last long in her administration, is she? So let's hopefully take that as a sign, fingers crossed. But she's a very slippery character, and certainly Heritage Foundation and Opus Dei are very much in support of Cannon based on those cards. I mean, what else can one conclude? All right, so let's have a scroll down and see who's also here with me today. Let's have a look. Let's go to news comments. And I'll be back soon. I arrive back in the UK on the 2nd of November. And you'll see me in my usual confines with my lights in the background. Let's see here. Let me click up on this comment. BJ says Trump wants to take us back to 1798. Not good for women or people of color or any white man that doesn't own land. Yeah. It's very, very, very true. Very, very true. And then this is a very good point here. Just Kendra said the High Priestess also usually keeps quiet. This is true. Keeps the secrets. So there's a lot that Canon knows and that she's been sitting on, which is why she is where she is. Yeah. So thank you so much for that comment there. And then someone's saying here, oh, this is a bit weird. Okay, I think I've got a little bit of a troll here in the old chit chat, but I won't draw attention to that. So let's move on. Let's see here. Click there. Here we are. Let's put user in timeout. Here we go. All right, now let's move on to the next question. So we've talked about Canon, General Kelly. Here we are. So Nick Minxer says General Kelly has confirmed that the orange one, Trump, did say he wanted a general like Hitler had once in office. More Epstein files have again linked the orange in Trump in. Do cards show how much more damaging this info is? Okay. Do the cards show how much more damaging this information is and will before his supporters realize the danger he represents. All right. So first of all, I think those that are going to vote for Trump really are going to vote for Trump, and they don't care. They really don't care. I've been reading a lot of the comments on other videos where people have been talking about friends and family members that are determined to vote for Trump. So I think a couple of weeks out, it's not going to make that much change. But if you want more insight on that, please watch the my Kamala Trump video where I go into more detail. But anyway, let's see here. Will this move the dial for some of his supporters? What's the energy around General Kelly's comments for Duck L'Orange? And thank you so much for joining me, folks. You will not believe the card that has come back. I don't think this has ever happened in a reading before. Anyway, his comments. Well, they certainly don't make Trump look good, yeah? So General Kelly's comments are just highlighting the poverty and the rectitude of the Trump administration, talking about how he's not fit to be leader. Yeah, this is a card you can see. Look, both of the people here are ill, but the point is that they're shunned. They're not in the church here. So what this shows is that the generals and part of the elite leadership are emphasizing how Trump is unfit to be commander-in-chief. Yeah, unfit to be commander-in-chief. Now, this is coming from very, very senior people. Anyone that takes the Constitution seriously will be paying attention to this. Yeah, if we look here, look, we've got the Tower card here. So this may be a Tower moment for some people that may shake some people up and make them recognize, like, wow, this is really serious. Basically, General Kelly has described Duck L'Orange, Trump, as a fascist. That's what he truly believes. And that in many ways is a devastating comment. And that should, for those that are still umming and ahhing and equivocating, etc. and stuff like that, yes, that could have made an impact. If we look here, look who's back again. We have the Hierophant. I think he's come up in each one of the readings. So again, what is this telling us? This is telling us that so much of what is going on in the world is about patriarchal authority. Yeah, patriarchal authority. But in this instance here, this is coming from General Kelly. So in a sense, this is more the divine masculine element where he is using his patriarchal power to try and warn everyone of the dangers of Duck L'Orange. Do you see? So you don't always read the same card in the same way all the time. You have to look what the question is and who is around. So this is General Kelly in his patriarchal leadership role and authority saying these devastating things. If we look here, what this is really about, though, it's about the relationship. Yeah, this isn't just General Kelly's relationship with Trump, because of course, if you are commander-in-chief, you have a very strong relationship with the military because you could potentially send people to war. But I think this is also as well talking about the relationship between Trump and those that want to vote for him. In many ways, they are wedded to him. This is very much also a card that can talk about marriage, but it's about deep commitments. So we can see here, General Kelly didn't say this stuff lightly because he had to work very, very closely with 45. So the fact he's come out with this statement really is devastating in of itself. But I think this is also talking as well. He's warning people, look, be careful, don't get too wedded to Trump. Yeah. And what he's also saying as well, if we look here, the ultimate, the final card in the reading, look, we get the Ace of Swords, which is about the sword of truth, the cutting through the BS kind of card, as we refer to it. So he's really kind of let rip. He's given his insights and his true feelings about Trump. No one can say they do not know that Trump is a fascist now. I've been saying it for years. People felt it was a little bit too strong years ago. Now it's absolutely clear. Now his top generals are saying it. Kamala is saying it as well, and so many other people are. So again, it is up to the people. It is up to the people. It is very, very clear what the threat and danger is, and Kelly's certainly gone for it. And yes, it would have affected some people. They may now be reconsidering, but will it be enough? We have to see. Yeah, we have to see. All right, make sure I've got that right. Make sure these cards the right way. All right. Let's see. Let's go into the next question. Here we are. And someone's saying here, Duck L'Orange wants to be a dictator. His generals tried to assassinate him. Duck L'Orange had 2 attempts of inside jobs. Oh, Mona. Maybe. I think so far they've been quite random people, to be honest. Because, do you remember I was saying there's this K2 factor, and K2 deals with loners, yeah, weirdos. So far it's been basically one on the roof and the loners in the bushes. So it still had that K2 feel with those making an attempt on his life. And for those of you that may not know already, around about the 3rd of November, I'm going to do a deep dive on Kamala and Trump, looking in detail at their charts, plus readings on tops to really see how it's actually looking for that election day on November 5th for both of them. Let's have a look here. Empire control. So someone here, that was that Bluebird Moon. They've asked 5 questions effectively. I'll see how many I can tackle. So 1, who will be the US sitting president on February 2025 after inauguration? Will the Dem Party control US House in 2025? Will the Dems control US Senate in 2025? Will there be increased funding for Medicaid food benefits in 2025? And increased help for low-income seniors in 2025? Yes or no? In fact, because I'm going to take a closer look in terms of election, let's look at the last 2. Will there be increased funding for Medicaid food benefits in 2025? Or help for low-income seniors? Let's look at that together, because I think that's an interesting one. Will there be more help? Will there be more help? Many Americans, of course, are having a difficult time, many seniors, and they've been talking about, if the Republicans win, they said they're going to cut all of this stuff, aren't they? Which I just think is, how on earth people are still prepared to vote for them when they've said the stuff that they've said. I just find extraordinary. You guys have paid into that your whole life with your jobs, and they're running on a policy of cutting people's life support. It's just extraordinary. But let's see. Will there be more support? There be more support for seniors. There be more support for seniors. Oh, I think I've got my cards upside down. Yeah, I have. All right. There we are. So I've got my cards upside down. They're all upside down, but I'll just read them and turn them around. All right. There will certainly be an element of policy going forward where they will have to look at seniors and their support that they're giving them. This is the card, the Eight of Pentacles is the card of working hard, trying to manifest something for one's future, being diligent in the process and trying to create something lasting, something worthwhile. So this will certainly be looked at, and it's certainly something that is going to become more prominent, particularly as nations mature, and they're going to be looking at how to fund, how to support seniors. So that's definitely an element there. If we look here, the next card, which is technically the obstacle position, but if the first card is positive, then it can be seen as reinforcing. And here we see we've got the Nine of Pentacles. So this is a card of wealth and abundance and having everything that you need. So there's certainly an element here where the seniors, in terms of how much money that they're getting, their support and stuff like that, people are certainly looking at it. And this, of course, you know, does seem to bode quite well, doesn't it? So I think certainly, especially if Kamala gets in, this will be kind of looked at and could be improved. If we look here, though, we do have, just in case we weren't sure if this reading was about money, look at this. We get the Four of Pentacles, which is about trying to preserve one's wealth, holding on to what one has, trying to, whatever one has, making it go further. So I think this is talking about the struggle that a lot of seniors feel, particularly, of course, once you're a senior and you're on retirement, most people are on a fixed income. So this is talking about the tight budgets that people are feeling, particularly as well with inflation and all of that stuff going around. So yes, an increase is very much needed. If we look here, the next card here is the Moon. Yep, so we've got the Moon card here. So what this is talking about, nothing is clear by moonlight. So I think it also, of course, depends very much who gets into power. Assuming it's Kamala Harris, I think, but you know, this will certainly be looked at. But it also shows as well there is a certain element of unexpectedness or something not being quite clear. I think this is also as well probably representing the threat that the Republicans also have against those things that are supporting so many seniors. But when we look here, the outcome card is the Two of Cups. So there's going to be some kind of deal, some kind of partnership. Either way, in order reevaluating the relationship for seniors, because as we know, in Western countries, the populations are getting older. So this is definitely something that needs to be looked at. This could also be as well talk about, you know, partnerships as well with business, with infrastructure plans, how that kind of thing will work. So I think it will certainly be looked at, and it looks like the chances are good that living expenses or the standard of living for seniors will likely be improved, looking at that, because the majority of the cards are positive. The only question mark here is the Moon card here, is the Moon card. There's a little bit of that, but I think it could be more positive for seniors going forward. Yeah. So let's see here. Who else? So this is coming from Blue Woman Reds. And she said, how is the US going to be able to deal with the millions who support the Orange Menace and Project 2025? I think that is a good question, one I would like to ask as well. Oh, look. Well, look at that. Mona Rogers has just... One second. Mona Rogers... I've just seen this after that reading. She says, it was just said Social Security and Medicare/Medicaid is increasing. There you go. I've only just seen that. Wow. And let's see. And then, oh, we've got a bit more trolling going on here, I think. Oh, quite a few trolls today. Quite interesting. Put them in timeout. All right. So let's just see here. The main thing is not to react too much to trolls. As you know, I just carry on with my reading anyway. There are many people that watch, not just Democrats, Republicans, independents as well, you know. So how is the US going to be able to deal with the millions who support Duck L'Orange? Let's take a look. America is exceptionally divided. One of the things I learned recently is up to 50, well, I think they said over 50% of Americans have either fallen out with or are not speaking to family members, loved ones, or friends because of their division in politics. So that's not sustainable going forward. Patricia is saying here, the increase is only 2.5%, which of course is probably why I got the Four of Pentacles as well, isn't it? Okay, but they have talked about that. Okay. Let's just see here. Oops. What did I click on there? I call it, first I call it Project and then the new. Now it's Progress 2028. Let's just call it for what it is, fascism. Yes, yes, absolutely. Where was the... And then here. Hello, Hogarth and all friends in the chat room. Gloria from San Diego here. Thank you, Gloria, so much for joining us. All right, let's see. How is the US going to be able to deal with the millions who support Duck L'Orange? Okay. Important question. What's the energy around that? What's the US going to deal with that? So much division in the country. All right. Well, there's over 300 of you now. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. Look, it's tricky. Whatever happens, the country is in a bit of a bind. As you can see here, this is the card of difficulty and strife, feeling like a hostage to fortune. But there is an element of this card of getting oneself into this pickle. So I think, basically, I think the media has an awful lot of responsibility to take here, because really, particularly in the earlier years when Trump could have been dealt with, you know, the media was, you know, a bit equivocal and trying to make, you know, diluting the arguments and stuff like this. But if we see here, this is really kind of talking about America being in a bit of a bind right now, feeling like a hostage to fortune. So I feel this is how the energy is right now. However, now if we look here in the obstacle position, we have the Two of Wands, and you'll notice here, look, this is the man holding the globe. The world is watching. Many Americans may not realize, I'm sure you guys realize, but many, and Kamala said this as well, so many people are looking at this election, at this election. Look, this is also the card of what? Merchants waiting for the ships to come in. This is also talking about imports and exports, can also be talking about the global economy. Everyone is watching the US election because it's going to affect the global economy, whoever comes in. But if we look here, we got the Ten of Swords here, and I have to cover it a little bit. The Ten of Swords, which talks about what? Sabotage. It can talk about betrayal. There is a sense that people feel very, very hurt. That the politics has been so difficult. It's been so negative, hasn't it? There's been, like, many Americans feel betrayed, not only by the politicians, but maybe by members of their own friends and family and loved ones and stuff like that. So there is a lot of wounding there. If we see, we have the moon. Yeah, so again, it's difficult. There are people that are howling at the moon. Let's not forget here, this is the dog of domesticity. This is the wolf of fierceness. Here we have the lobster coming out of the waters of the deep subconscious, and the challenge is to walk between the pillars of truth with this card, but nothing is clear by moonlight. So this, I think, is talking about the subterfuge, the misinformation, disinformation, all of the stuff going on. America is having to try to sort this out when it's not clear who is friend or, well, some people may see it as clear who is friend or foe, but there are a lot of people that are confused out there, discombobulated in emotional turmoil. It's very difficult to make clear decisions. However, if we look at the outcome card, we do have the Ace of Cups. So let's take this as a little beacon of hope. It could be after the trials and tribulations, ultimately, that America turns a corner and is able to reach a state where it feels better about itself as a nation, hopefully, ideally, because this is a very positive card to end the reading. So I think the misinformation and the emotions that have been stirred up in people are very stark. Many people feel betrayed, not only by the society, but people that are closest to them. However, the world is watching, paying attention to see if America can get itself out of this bind that it's in. But ultimately, I think it can. Yeah, we get the Ace of Cups here. So let's have that as a beacon of hope. Nice place to finish the reading. The hour has flown by. Thank you so much for everyone for joining me. Sorry I couldn't project as much as I normally would when I'm doing live shows, but I do have two people trying to sleep on that side of the room. So thank you so much for all of the support, everyone. If you've not seen my Kamala and Trump video, please take a look at that. I think it's around about 40 minutes, that video, where I do readings on them. And of course, you will see me on Hogely. Now look, there's a question mark over Hogely. I need to see where we are going to be in terms of internet and that stuff in the next couple of days. If the internet is not good, then I'll have to skip that Hogely and bring you something else in the week. But I'll know more probably by this evening. So thank you everyone for joining me. And I hope you enjoyed that. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you've not done so already, and share the video. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. And I will leave it there. Big love.